Right, just gonna do a little video clip here. I might insert it in one of my videos. I was watching Brent from Half-Assed Customs, um, one of his on his small channel where he does like behind the scenes sort of stuff. And it was having an issue where he had one of his tires on, I think it was his Apache or whatever it is, blue truck, that was leaking around the bead. Right, so to give you a bit of a backstory, so in the mid early 2000s and even earlier than that, I used to strip a lot of wheels and tyres off for a dismantling yard, wrecking yard, whatever you want to call it. But through the mid 2000s, for about 10 years, odd in between driving trucks and whatever, and doing other stuff, I fitted a lot of industrial, earth moving, mining, tractor tyres, truck tyres, you name it. I fitted a shitload of that stuff. And one of the tricks we would do, I got fucking laughed at by a couple of people mentioning this to Brent, just as one of those little tips, you know what I mean? But we used to take on, say, the bead of a wheel. Say, sometimes you get an old wheel and it's not really rotted out or really heavily pitted, but sometimes you get it where it's got quite bad pitting in it. And you can put bead sealer in around the bead or whatever, or you can put a tube in it or whatever. But if you're trying to keep it tubeless, and sometimes bead sealer or whatever just won't seal that wheel because there's some of the pittings in some places are too bad. So this was one of those tips that we didn't do very often, but we used to get the tire chalk. Depending on the brand, but we used to use a white one, and it was quite soft. It was like that tire chalk crayons. You can write on a tire, what size it is or whatever. If you're keeping second-hand ones, or you'd mark, like where you punch your wires or whatever. That sort of tire chalk. We would get that, right? Clean the wheel up, sit on the tire machine, so you could get at the bead. We'd grab it from the inside so you could get at the beads, and we'd spin it on the tire machine so it was rotating. And we would rub that tire chalk and around and around and around the bead until it built up. And you could actually get it so it would run smooth and clean, and it would hide the pitting. And then we'd put a wee bit of bead sealer on it, throw the tire on, blow it up, and the fucking things would seal. I got laughed at for mentioning that. And it's like, if you don't fucking know the trick, don't knock it until you fucking try it. It pisses me off a lot of times, that shit. It was a tip that somebody else had shown me, like some other tyre guy. He said, one of these things, it's not a trick you use very often. You get a situation like that where the wheels are fucking bit pitted up. Pull an old wheel off something old, 50s or 60s or whatever. It's got a bit of corrosion around it. Wire wheel the rim up or whatever on the inside, like an old steel wheel or whatever, and it's pretty rough. Fuck, am I going to get this to seal without putting a tube in? You slather bead sealer on it, whatever. I've done that, and it just won't fucking seal. And that's what we used to do. Get the old white tire chalk around it, and we just run around just set the wheel spinning, and we just rub it in, and just build like the crayon chalk up on the wheel. It would go like real waxy and around it, and it would just fill all those pits. And it's probably not a permanent thing, but it would get the fucking tire to seal, get the person on the road, and whatever, and at some other point, they might have to replace the wheel or whatever. But it was just one of those good little fucking tips that would just save your fucking ass and get the vehicle back on the road. Because sometimes people don't want a tube and a tyre, you know what I mean? But yeah, it's one of those little tricks. Sometimes you could putting new tyres on and you just couldn't get the bastards to seal. It didn't matter how much freaking tyre sealant, the bead sealer, black bead sealer that you'd put around the bead. Just sometimes the pitting was too bad and it just wouldn't hold in one of those places. It would just squirt the bead sealer out before it got a chance to seal up. So yeah, it's what we used to do. If we get one that just wouldn't wouldn't hold. But clean it up, smash the tire chalk around it, so you get a really nice build up, and it would be nice and smooth. The pits would be disappear with the crayon. Put a wee touch of bead seal around it, throw the tire on, bang, sealed. You know, we get some people come back, you know, months and months later when they're fucking all the tire, and they go, man, that worked perfect, you know. I haven't had an issue since, you know. And you put the wheel off, clean it up, do it again, and away they go for the next set. You know, sometimes they've managed to get some replacement wheels that were better, and fucking away you would go. But it's just one of those little fucking tips that just, you know, people laugh at. You know, they go, oh, fuck, that's stupid, but it fucking works. And it pisses me off, you know. The tyre tech, like, you know, I used to fit fucking tyres on 777 mine Caterpillar dump trucks and freaking 798 dump trucks in the fucking mines and underground mine things. Used to fit, you know, big massive chains. I got photos and shit, like, you know, not as many as I used to have because I've fucking cleaned a lot of it out, but I've got photos of me fitting chains and, you know, a chain, and, you know, all those sorts of stuff. Like, I was one of the few people that could do it in that area. You know, there's not many people who can actually fit those big. You see some of the big loaders and stuff, you know, working in some of those rock quarries and shit like that. Now they have those big, massive, chunky frickin' chains wrapped around the whole tire. Oh, you just better fit them, you know, all that sort of shit. So don't poo-hoo somebody that fucking knows what they're talking about when, you know, what's one of those tips that just might save your fucking ass one of these days.